topic 15 being tracing memories. How are memories informing and always present in writing? And how actually memories, the very texture of memories, like the sound, the smells, the lights, the tastes, the whole texture of the stories, and in all the senses we have as part of our memories, how we activate them in writing. So this was kind of what we were doing. And like I think 3 years back, Philiswa asked me why, because I was saying I'm always writing text, and then she said, why don't you draw? And so then I did a few exercises in drawing, and that is one of them. And that brought me to thinking about how is this writing in a different way? How is this a memory that maybe is different to encode or decode for everyone, in between the image and the written? And so kind of what we were doing also in our group is really about exploring this moment of memory in our works. And I just want to go shortly to my background. So my dad is Palestinian, and he grew up with these very amazing composition books, writing on the one side in Arabic, on the other side in English and in French. And I'm looking at these notebooks, and then I'm thinking, wow, like you're in the middle of Lebanon, and you write how great it is to skate on the ice in winter. I'm thinking, like, interesting, right? My dad was skating on the ice in winter in Lebanon. And so in a way, for me it showed how tuition in the second languages can introduce concepts that are so foreign. And what does that mean, like, as a boy in Lebanon writing about skating on the ice? And then I asked myself, how did I inherit these kind of second memories which were introduced by colonial education? Because I didn't learn Arabic properly, because I grew up in Germany. And this is where I then connected when I came to South Africa with writers and visual artists speaking about memories of all things language. And how do you speak? First, second, third. So, like the usual experience is write about language, and people will write about English because that's language, right? And so it's like this kind of move towards thinking, how do you find actually access to those memories that are silenced, that are present or absent in writing? Yeah.
Sorry, Fouad, to interrupt you. I don't know enough about Lebanon to know if they've got skating.
No.
Have they got ice?
It's very Mediterranean.
Okay.
I mean, it would be like
I
it would be like here saying you go Emerentia Dam skating. I mean, I don't ever think it would be.
But Fouad,
Yeah?
they ski in Lebanon.
Yes, I know, but that's in the mountains. Yeah.
And I remember at AUB, a lot of the students would quote Wordsworth. I came across a flock of whatever it is, golden daffodils, and of course there are no daffodils.
Yeah, so in a way, for me it was like, and one of the pictures in the memory work we were doing was my dad being in Germany in front of a shop that sells cameras. He was very much into cameras. And so I started writing about these kind of memories also through what we get in terms of images. So, by way of a very personal introduction, I wanted to invite you to, in this workshop, that we explore also how can we write in different ways. So for example, one of the results of our writing exercises in our morning Friday sessions was I started writing like this. And I was asking the group, is this writing? And we had a very interesting conversation around writing and what is the written. And it is a personal form of writing, perhaps. It's perhaps a very legible, more legible than any other language, or more illegible, we don't know. Having said that, I want to invite you this morning to expand your practices of writing in this writing workshop. And do not think about that what you learned, but maybe that what you would like to, or what you never tried, or what you have have always dreamt of what you never even thought about? How could a line be writing? How could a squiggle be writing? Or any form of mark, or even no mark on the paper. So now I will hand over to Philiswa to, if you could speak shortly about your work as a prompt also for the memory work in this session.
Good morning, everyone. So with my work, this body of work that you see on the projector is from Skin Bone Fire, the first album, which was the title of my exhibition in 2020. So what had happened is that it included a residency in Paris. So when I was there, I kind of saw how they were so much invested in their history, their traditions. They had a way of preserving and always remembering, and celebrating or having small ceremonies even in the streets where you see flowers or see people gathering. And then it made me think about my family photo album. So I kept thinking about that. What is the preservation of my own tradition and my culture? While at the same time, I had many questions about what is my culture and what are my traditions, because I grew up in the city, and usually when we go to the village, it will be the case of you guys are not cultured enough in relation to my cousins who grew up in the village. So it felt like I was not deserving, at the same time of being in Xhosa, in that sense, or in Ordo, because I couldn't speak the language well as my cousins would. Xhosa, the different, I don't know, what do you call them?
Languages.
The different languages. So I came back, I looked for the photo album, and when I found it, it did not have images. It was surprising, but at the same time, it was me who had stored that album in one of the boxes where I keep most of my catalogs, things that I bought. So, and then opening that album, it brought a lot of memories, especially about my sister. So I worked with that empty object, and it was empty in the sense that it didn't have images, but there were so many residues of where the images were, and also human contact, So I worked with those memories. I didn't even go to my friends to ask questions on who bought the album, what was happening, and all of that history. So I worked with what was coming to me, those memories, whether it was me with my sister or me with my family, and all of that. So then I came up with these artworks. My work is abstract. I use sheep and goat skin as references, and that also was based on when we were asked to bring family photos in my undergrad. I was not comfortable with that based on who I was telling my family story to. So I went home to the village and I brought animal skin, sheep and goat, and that was it. I took photographs of that and I used it as references, but later it really connected me to this idea of culture and history and my identity and my experiences between the city and the village and what those memories are today for me today. So so as part of the exhibition, then the writing came in like an essay. So the essay that I wrote was not explaining the artwork, but I used writing as a medium, as another tool that contributes to this exhibition. So that's when I allowed still there my memories to come through, different memories. And that essay was, I think it was mainly about grief, because mainly the album, I have many experiences with it with my sister as curating it and taking out different images and trying to curate this family photo, because I realized that we didn't have actually a family photo. Even I realized that my parents don't even have a photo together where there's no other person. Yeah, so yeah, I then wrote about that, the handling of the photograph. I reflect on the photograph, but at the same time, there are no photos in the album. I work with the residues and the feel of the object, how I see the object. It has deteriorated, its condition is not good, but at the same time, it feels so sentimental to me because of the memories that I have with it. And at the same time, I started like putting it apart, like tearing it apart in a way, like how it was binded, and what was that process even as this object that I consider sentimental. So I spoke a lot about my sister mainly, and I think that's what was the result of the essay or that artwork, which was in writing.
Yeah, and by way of starting the workshop, I would like to invite you for 10 minutes to do free writing. And this is really, free writing is really about, it's for yourself only, and it's not for anyone else but your own eyes and hands. So the first one, we will do 2 sets of free writing and then a short group, and then but shortly in small groups. So I will check for maybe 5 to 7 minutes. Free writing has very simple rules. Keep your pen moving. Don't think about what it is you're writing. If you start doodling, or I don't know what to write, or if you write shopping lists, or what you have to do, nobody will ask you. It's personal free writing. It is really, the idea is to keep your pen moving. So yeah, also if anyone needs pen and paper, we have pen and paper here. And so just let your mind flow on the page as you are going, and just allow anything to happen.
I need some paper.
And yeah, just be generous with the paper. And again, so this is for your eyes only. So if you've never done free writing before, let yourself be surprised or delighted, and don't bother what is it. It's not about the outcome. And after that, we will do another set of free writing. So I will put my timer, and please start writing. I will give you a short notice, half a minute before. So. Right, I will give you another minute or so just to look through what is on the page and underline whatever you find captures your imagination, or what you find valuable or interesting, or what you really find surprising. And just like take a minute or so. If it's a word, if it's a shape, something that you find is exciting and that you would like to engage with. And also perhaps pay attention, like what we were saying before, to the senses. How are the senses activated in that one moment? And what excites you around it? Is it something that you see, something that you hear, that you taste, smell, a movement, a bodily experience? So at this little sentence, or that's what you underline, that is now the prompt for your next piece of free writing. So now just try to focus on that, what excites you, and elaborate on that in whichever way you want. Just for another 7 minutes, just write on this moment without explaining it, just feeling it in more depth. So focusing on the moment that this piece of writing inspired in you. And yeah, I give another 7 minutes. And then we take it from there. And as you finish, I want to invite you to please group yourself in 1, 2, 3. Maybe perhaps Philiswa, you take a group. There's a group with Londi and there's a group with myself. And there we will just shortly share the process. What was exciting? What did you notice? What was it about? And then to find overlapping, intersecting moments that you found in the writing. So again, it's not about sharing what you wrote. If you want, you can do that. And then, yeah, then we'll come to the plenum and see what happened in the subgroup discussion. Any questions? Are you okay?
So easy. It just means that I've got like a lot of books that are unfinished. And I go to the next one and then that's to the next one. Yeah.
How do you experience it?
It feels very that's like anxiety around writing, where like you generally feel like everyone's responding like your thoughts. You kind of gaslight your way through the process.
I wanted to write yesterday evening, but then what I ended up doing was reading my writing instead of writing. And what I noticed about it was there is a lot of punctuation.
That could be
and so I think that came in my writing. I really enjoyed. So instead of just punctuating my sentences, I just wrote out the punctuation. So I think the one sentence, the third, I had to think of all the helping marks to list it would be the exclamation exclamation, comma, the semicolon, comma, the comma, comma, the
imputing
full stop, full stop.
intelligence like when he was writing.
So much comes in it. So I think for me,
It's the same thing. Definitely when I can't finish thoughts, I find it quite disturbing. It's
for me,
interesting.
it's just surprised because whenever I write academic pieces, then study.
So, okay. What happened is very weird because every time something else happens, so I started writing, no, not like this, they shouted. I didn't know what the suddenly was, but suddenly it was so clear. There's a group
It was just
of
for,
people
so it was really a wow moment for me to
only
say
making
also.
school
And also because writing academic pieces, I do not have to to say whatever people think is right. So
And I guess like making them obvious kind of gives you like a moment to think when you're writing, which is
So it was
nice.
interesting.
I don't know if I was punctuating things like audibly in my head, even if I didn't write them out, it might make my writing
That's
better.
full of just drawing and scribbling.
Reminds you of like a
That's
film.
my social media using Genesis.
Also because when
Like
you are
when you
writing
make a
pen
sentence,
and paper,
like you say something you want to
later analyze
very, you know,
how you
like
constructed the sentence,
full
what
stop.
words you deleted
Don't
and so on. But
do
when you
it full stop.
you don't have the final
No, like
version.
it's just really, it's just that you do it because, you know, all the whatever
And you can't see what it really was saying.
Yeah.
How did it go? What did you discuss?
Well, the groups, many thanks to Philiswa for the traces and residues and talking. I think everyone really enjoyed that, and it tapped back into the textures of memory, which is really interesting. And I was very keen to come and read. All right, I'll just read the first page sentence. Suitcases, leather fading, because your leather was marked with labels. Nichols, Bryan, army labels, suitcases which were carried by parents and grandparents into the unknown, piled now in a tower where they had landed with me in my Joburg room. So I think our discussions were fascinating and about hidden memories, and I think we could have talked for a lot longer. Anyone else want to say something?
We also spoke about story. That writing is about storytelling. Charity mentioned that because she's in academia, she's always writing in that way, like in that framework, and it always feels limiting for her. But now doing this exercise, she was free and her ideas were flowing in a way. So I just said sometimes you come into academia with a story, of this experience that you had, and then once you start writing, let's say your thesis, you're now writing about the story and not the story itself. And whenever you speak about your thesis, it's always in relation to story, but you never get to writing the story. Then what happens when you start writing the story, in fact, is where the nice things always come out.
I love that result because there's one thing that I keep doing with researchers, just ask them to write up the story of the research, and then this is like a aha moment where being concerned with the research is outside of you, and then suddenly things are coming together. It's amazing.
So we were talking about the exercise in itself and how using pen and paper sort of encourages the idea of free writing, really. Whereas when one has to use a computer or a cell phone, you kind of have to calculate your words and how you place them, whereas when you're writing on paper, you're not even that mindful of your own handwriting. You're just getting the thoughts out as you go, and yeah, I think that was really incredible.
I think there are certain elements that we have in common. We found that the process allows the ideas to be generated. It is generative. Some of us have already begun to develop ideas for poems and short stories. Also, it helps you to analyze your own inner processes. It gives your ideas some kind of clarity, and ideas reveal themselves involuntarily, ideas that you've never thought of before. And it's more felt than intellectualized. It's a bodily experience. And I think also scribbling helps you to sort of be able to trace the creative process, the ways that you've scratched and cancelled off as compared to using a computer. When you use a computer, you only have the final version, and you do not have the original draft that you worked upon. I don't know, I think.
But also thank you so much for it, because I mean, I felt a little bit like, you know, as a fellow writing teacher, like what am I doing here, you know? Like how am I stealing? But there's something about the attention that you give to every soul, you know, as they're in this quiet place, you give them this space where you can consider what you think and what you feel and what you've experienced important enough just for this time, and give yourself that space. And I think that's such a profound gift. Thank you very much.
It means a lot. I'm always I'm grateful again, and to give credits to my co-writers, Philiswa, Londi, Pebble. It's really always a process we've been working on in the last years as well, how without verbalizing any instructions, allowing the room to develop something to do. I think, I learned that in our meetings. We will speak later about it. But thank you for the really precious.
But also, Philiswa, that the images that these abstract images are so evocative, and they just feel like that you might have done them yourself. Like, it's like you feel this kind of, like, I feel very close to them, and the one image was the one that actually, the one with the two reddish things, was the thing that was the biggest prompt. It gave me a lot of material, and thank you very much for that, because it's like Fouad was saying about, it's still writing, it's just a different language.
Thank you so much. That's actually what